This week on the RG10 Podcast, we're heading into one of the most vibrant, creative events in the local calendar, the Henley Arts Trail. Now celebrating its 20th anniversary, the trail brings together hundreds of artists across dozens of venues, from grand riverside institutions to garden studios and village schools, all opening their doors to the public. It takes place on the forthcoming bank holiday weekend between the 2nd and 4th of May, and it's a rare chance to step behind the scenes, meet the makers, and discover just how much creativity is thriving right here on our doorstep. And at the heart of it this year is artist and YouTuber Liz Chaderton, a painter, teacher, and accidental online success story whose work has reached millions from a shed at the bottom of her garden in Hurst. I sat down with Liz to talk about her journey, the realities of making a living through art, and what makes the Henley Arts Trail such a special event for artists and visitors alike. Liz, thanks so much for joining me on the RG10 podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
So, before we go on any further, I want to talk about your life as a YouTube artist, if we may. Talk me through that. How did that happen?
Wow, gosh, that good old COVID was to blame for that, because I used to do a weekly art class in a village hall in Shiplake, and of course all that happened and we couldn't meet, and a lot of my students, the class was a social highlight. It wasn't about the painting, it was definitely about the tea and biscuits at half time. And I wanted to support people and stay in touch and give people something to do. So I started recording a painting and some suggestions, put it on YouTube. And suddenly I realised, rather than the 10, 15 people that actually came to the class, it was being watched by maybe 100. And it was like, oh, how bizarre, someone's watching this. And then 100 more, and and it all grew from there. And here we are, however many years later, 5-6 years later, I've actually had 4 million views on films that I've put onto, sorry, that's old-fashioned, films, I should say, videos I have put onto YouTube, which slightly blows my mind, because as you can see from where I am here, I am in a shed at the bottom of our garden. That's my studio. And the idea that 4 million people will have watched me wittering on while sitting in my shed at the bottom of the studio, the garden, is bizarre but rather lovely.
Was there a particular moment or a particular video when, that caught fire, if you like, when you thought, oh, hello, this is big time now?
That's a good question. I suppose because of how YouTube is fixed up, when you get 1,000 subscribers, you can monetize, and that means you start earning a little bit. Please do not think it's a lot, a little bit. So that was significant, and that first 50p or whatever it was very, very welcome. And then, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think. I did a very silly thing at this time of year in lockdown. I decided to make a big Easter egg, sort of like a metre high, out of papier-mâché, because I live in Hurst near Twyford, and our village was doing a sort of virtual Easter egg hunt. So we were sort of decorating our front gardens with Easter eggs, so that when we were all doing that little daily walk, people had something to look at. And I decided to make a very large sort of Fabergé Easter egg. And I think as people followed that, and that took off, and suddenly that had, 20, 30,000 views, which I know is not a million, but it was a lot. I was like, oh, this is bizarre. I am making a very silly Easter egg, and people are joining me on the journey. So that was fun. And the great thing is, every Easter since, you can see more people watching it, because suddenly around the world there's someone thinking, oh, I could make a giant Easter egg, and they find my little video And every year you can see just before Easter, a whole pile more are making that stupid Easter egg somewhere in the world. So great fun.
Now, sorry to be so vulgar, but you did mention the subject of money, so I'm going to run with it. I don't need exact figures here by any means. I don't need any figure at all. But the amount of money you earn through YouTube, how does that compare to the amount of money you earn, say, through selling a painting?
Oh, I'm very open about what I earn. In fact, I usually teach
The
each.
tax for the tax man, that is.
Oh no, I am very above board. No.
That's all right.
My taxes are perfect. Thank you very much. But I do actually do a review video at the end, or have done for the last couple of years, because people are fascinated, and if people want to know what I earn, they're welcome, and they're usually horrified. It's not much, and sadly, it's gone down because YouTube, the good old algorithm, has changed so that we're actually earning less now than we were. So if I sort of look at it on an hourly basis, I earn just about minimum wage if I'm lucky, because videos take a long time to film, even longer to edit, etc. But there are other benefits, which one, I enjoy it, so that's always a good start. Two, sometimes I actually sell paintings through videos, which is always good fun. Someone sees something behind me and emails and says, I really like that. Is it for sale? And so that's nice. And the other thing is, I do get asked to try new art materials, and I'm a total magpie. So if someone says, oh, we're just launching these new, whatever it is, usually watercolor, because that's my thing, would you like to try it? The answer is not always, but most of the time, yes, please. So I love getting little parcels of goodies to try, and then I'll make a video. And I'm very honest. I'm not blunt. So if they are not good, I will say they're not good. I will try and find something positive, but I am always honest in my reviews. So, what you see is what you get. So I don't do this whole sponsored video thing because they're telling you what to say. But I will say, yeah, sure, I'll try that. And I just get so much pleasure out of trying new materials, and who knows what you discover. So it's good, but yes, it's very minimum wage, if it even gets to that.
That's pretty more than some artists earn, isn't it? Minimum.
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, most people on YouTube earn nothing.
But I mean, not on YouTube, just artists in general.
Artists in general. Sadly, a lot of artists make very little money. I live from my art, and I support my family from my art. So yes, that is good, but that is through selling paintings. That is also through teaching. I run workshops. I also run online workshops. So that works very nicely. So yes, my living is above minimum wage. I'm delighted to say. Sadly, not so high that the taxman is taking a massive interest in me. It's kind of a normal. But
after being on this podcast, Liz,
I know,
crawling all over you. How does your creative process translate to video, if you like? Do you approach things differently, either visually because you have to, or maybe, just to get more views?
I don't play that game of sort of clickbait and getting more views. I probably should, and maybe that is why I'm earning less. But so there's pros and cons. On one side, the fact that I do a video a week means that I have to. I've said I will, so I do. And that makes me think of new ideas or new ways of doing things. So that's really good for me. On the downside, having to video, because it's just me, I have an iPad, it's me in a shed at the bottom of the garden. it disrupts the flow of things. So every so often it is just delightful to paint a picture that I want to paint with no pressure. I do not video it. I don't tell anyone about it until it's done. And that actually is a joy. But it does disrupt the flow because you've got to make sure things are in shot. And because it's only me, I don't have a lovely cameraman or a sound man to help. Occasionally you get to the end and realise you haven't turned things on, or the battery has gone, and that is very upsetting.
Have you learnt things from your audience, that the feedback they've given you?
Oh, definitely, yes. Feedback or ideas, or people say, oh, have you tried? And I think, oh, no, I haven't. Oh, I could. So yes, we've got a lovely sort of two-way communication, because I also run a couple of Facebook groups, so that we can really have a conversation. And again, there are many negatives of social media, but there are many positives, that you can be having a conversation with someone in Australia, North America, and just down the road in Wokingham, all in this conversation. We can all be talking about the same thing and united through our love of painting and our love of art. And that strikes me as such an incredibly positive thing, especially in the current climate where we are very divided. So to find things that unite us, and to be able to use social media that to communicate and to share ideas. So yeah, I've learned a huge amount, and also I've learned the practical things like how to edit a video. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I'm a lot better now than I was. So and just all that stuff. Not very good at lighting. Still got to work on that one. But
Is it kind of led to any odd opportunities or anything like that? Anything particularly memorable?
It's certainly led to things like doing online teaching, which I'd never considered doing before. And so, oh gosh, was it last week? I did an online session with an art school that's based in Hong Kong, and they'd approached me and said, would you run this session? Yep, I would. And that's great. And then again, you're demonstrating something, and there's a question and it comes up, and they're in Canada, and then there's a question and it comes up from someone who's in France or whatever. And I just love that idea. So it's led to that sort of thing. What else? It's probably led to some quite odd, funny things, in that people have said, oh, will you do this? And the answer is absolutely no. No, I won't. So I won't go into some of those details.
Fair enough. A different website for that.
But yes, so it has definitely led to other opportunities by being, it's partly about visibility, and it's partly about becoming comfortable on camera. Well, hey, it's led to us having this conversation today, because when you wanted to talk about the Henley Arts Trail, I got nobbled because I'm quite happy making a fool of myself on camera, whereas some people are very nervous of that. And in the end, I just think, oh, well, if I say something incredibly stupid or I roll my eyes, well, that's life. It's real. I no one watches anything I do because it's polished and I've got a full face of makeup on and I've got the sort of the BBC props in the background. So I don't have an issue with it. Whereas a lot of people are possibly quite nervous of making fools of themselves. I discovered a long time ago, I don't really mind making a fool of myself, so it's fine.
Well, Liz, you kind of intimated there that, this isn't necessarily very polished, but what you did with the skill of, of an old media pro is bringing the subject of perhaps what we're meant to be talking about, the Henley Arts Trail. So
You
round of
noticed that?
applause for you. If there was a PR person on your shoulder, they'd be just breathing a sigh of relief because you did that beautifully. You're part of the Henley Arts Trail. Tell me a bit about the Henley Arts Trail this year. It is the anniversary, I
It
believe.
is 20th. Yeah.
20th anniversary of the Arts Trail this year. Tell me about your role within it, how you
Um,
connecting.
Oh, well, so I am what we call a venue leader. So the Henley Arts Trail has, well, I hope I've got this right, 36 different venues from north of Henley, sort of Bix around there, through Henley, then Shiplake, Twyford, Hurst. So we're that sort of area, 36 different venues from a vineyard to the Leander Club, so world famous places as well as locally famous, to people's front rooms. So those are the sort of the range of venues, and I am in charge one of the venues, and we are using the Dolphin School, which is in Hurst. So my job is to find a whole pile of lovely artists who would like to come and join me. So there will be 6 of us there, and make sure it's balanced so that we've got, well, I like to make sure that it's balanced so there's something that everyone can enjoy when they come through the door. So again, some of the venues are tiny, they're one person, and some are big, there are 20 artists. It just varies. So I have been involved for probably 10 years now, I think, as an artist. I sort of started in a venue as a very, very nervous person, because when you start showing your paintings, it is a bit like going out into public sort of naked, because it's personal. You do not want people to stand in front of one of your paintings and say, oh, if you try harder, love, it'll be okay. Or to go, oh, I hate it. You don't want that. But so I've been involved for about 10 years as an artist, just, I say, very nervous to start with. And then I started to run my own venue, actually in Hurst, a smaller venue. And then we moved to Dolphin, last year. So it's a bigger space, and it's lovely to be at the school because they've welcomed us, and all the parents and kids welcomed us, which was great. So I don't do anything formally in the trail, as in I'm not a treasurer or a secretary or anything. And I don't want to be. I'm saying this just in case they're listening. But obviously I help with things. So this morning I was in Twyford putting up banners and actually at Twyford Station. So hopefully all those commuters will come off the train, see the big banner and come and visit us. And I will be delivering leaflets and all those sorts of things as well. So we all sort of chip in to make it a big local event. And then, of course, we actually do the painting and hopefully display our paintings and talk to people about what we do and why we do it. It's not all about trying to sell. We really want people to come in and just enjoy the art and talk to us, because a lot of us do paint in spare bedrooms or the garage or the shed. And to be allowed out in public to talk about art is, it's a pleasure. So that's what I do.
You mentioned that you've been involved for 10 years, so you've got quite a bit of perspective on it. How, in that 10 years, how would you say it's changed? How has it developed?
Oh, it's got bigger, and it's certainly got more of a profile as well, because we have visitors. It isn't just Henley, so it's spread from Henley, which was its sort of core, and we're trying for it not to spread too far, because it is the Henley Arts Trail, but it has spread geographically, but also where visitors come from has spread. We have visitors that will come in from London, so they'll grab the train and come into Twyford and then get the train off to Henley or whatever. Which is great to see it get that sort of profile, which, lovely. And numbers-wise, we must have over 300 artists involved, so 36 venues, but because some of those venues are quite big, there are probably 300 artists. And that's great, because, again, who knew there were 300 artists, ceramicists, jewellery makers, all those people in the area? There is a lot of creativity and art going on, slightly hidden away. So it's almost like once a year everyone emerges into the light and you're like, whoa, all this is going on. And the other thing I love about Henley is that you can have professional artists. I am a professional, maybe not very professional, but I make my living from art. Next to someone who is exhibiting for the very first time, who is that nervous person going out in public feeling a bit naked. You do not have to have achieved some greatness before you're allowed to join in. And that's quite different from some of the other art trails where you have to submit a portfolio and be accepted. And I think that makes the art trail quite special and in a very positive way.
Finally then, Liz, given your profile on YouTube, how many times during the Henley Arts Trail have people come up to you, recognise you and ask for your autograph? Are we talking dozens, hundreds of times?
No. They never ask for my autograph, of which I am very grateful. But I do have people, when it's an art-related event, because it attracts that sort of audience, you do have people who think they know you because they know you through video, and they'll go, oh, and you'll think, give me a clue, who are you? Sometimes, actually, I was in Waitrose in Twyford about 2 days ago, and someone came up and said, oh, I've just been watching one of your videos. And it was like, oh my goodness, I better behave myself. So yes, it does happen. And they usually say, oh, you're a lot taller than I thought, because I'm 5'9", which isn't silly tall, but it is relatively tall. And people always say, oh, you're a lot taller than I thought. And I guess it's because I'm sitting down painting away. So.
Go on. That'll teach me to ask a facetious question.
No, it's happened. And it's deeply embarrassing because it's like, I just think, oh, I couldn't have a road rage incident or get really grumpy as I'm pushing my trolley around somewhere just in case someone recognises me. And it does actually make you really feel for famous people. Yeah. Again, we were shopping last week and Theresa May came out pushing her trolley, and you think, God, must be bad. All you're trying to do is buy some baked beans, and people are judging the contents of your trolley. You know, and with someone like that, you have to say your heart does feel for them, because who would want that when you're having a rough day? I'm not saying she was having a rough day, but generally,
well,
who would want that?
We've learned an awful lot today, Liz. You've told us all about your wonderful YouTube career, the joys of the Henley Arts Trail, and also that Theresa May has baked beans in her trolley. I'd be looking and thinking, oh, bottle of gin. She didn't have one of those either. Okay, Waitrose Essentials or Heinz. We don't need to know that. Anyway, Liz, thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me here. That was Liz Chaderton, and if you'd like to see her work along with all of the other artists, just head to the Henley Arts Trail across the early bank holiday weekend. With venues spread from Henley through to Twyford and the surrounding villages, it's a chance to explore, discover something new, and maybe even take a piece of art home with you. You can find full details, venues and opening times online at henleyartstrail.com. Thanks for listening to the RG10 podcast. We're going to be taking a break for a few weeks, but we will be back before you know it for Series 18. Goodbye.